Merry Christmas, Remo.
Merry Christmas, Eerik. Episode 5, Remo's podcast, and I'm here with Eerik, and this is me, Remo, and we are going to talk about another topic which Eerik will lead in.
Actually, I have to say that the idea, where did I actually get the idea? Was it from you? This 1/3 rule. I heard it before, but I very much liked how you structured it. So to develop yourself, you need to have hard times, you need to have good times, and you need to have neutral times. And I started to think about my own life experience in 47 years, and I have to agree. To get to the next level, certain hard times are mandatory, inevitable. But when we discussed with you this topic, I started to think, hey, wait a minute, do we really want to grow, to develop as a nation, to have a hard times for us? Because we both have a military background and a law enforcement security background. The whole idea of those services is to avoid terrible times. So again, Remo, are we coming to the dichotomy?
I think so. It's just a matter of how bad the times are. I would say, like, if it sucks so bad, then it's not very good. So there has to be a right amount of it, and in some times the suckfest can be too big. So then it's not good, I would say. But at the same time, it will still create super strong people, because the strongest will survive, whoever that strong nation, country is. But I think that you don't have to artificially create those hard times, because hard times will come anyways, regardless of whatever you try to do. But maybe I will explain the 1/3 rule as I know it, so other people have more of a context of what we are talking about. So I heard it from one, I think, Instagram or something like that. There was one gymnast, one woman spoke about this rule, what her gymnast coach told her, that getting good at some skill requires this 1/3 rule, which means that 1/3 of the time you should be feeling good, you are happy, you are enjoying yourself, you are feeling good about your training. Then there is 1/3 of time when you are neutral. It's not good, it's not bad. And then there is 1/3 of time when it is hard, it sucks, you don't like it, it's not enjoyable. And then if you have, that's the balance that you have to have, like 1/3 of everything. And that's kind of the 100% picture what you want to have. Because if you have 100% good times, like you're always feeling happy, you don't feel the hardship, you must be doing something wrong in the gym. Because if you want to grow your muscles, if you want to grow yourself in everything, there has to be some sort of a push. There has to be some sort of like hardship where you are kind of destroying your muscles a little bit so it can start growing. And if you're always good, then there's something wrong. You're out of balance. So, and then if it's always bad, it's always hard. You're only breaking the muscle. You don't rest your body, your muscles. Then that's not good either. You have to have all of those three kind of parts, and that's where it comes from. And I think it applies to everything. And now I have been using it in our leadership courses of explaining what the leadership journey looks like to me. It's 1/3 of time. It should be enjoyable. 1/3 of the time you're just grinding. You don't have any feelings, not good nor bad. And then there will be 1/3 of time which will be hard. It sucks. And that's how it's been. And that's how I measure my every year. This is now the second year I think about this concept in the end of the year. was my year kind of 1/3 of everything. And I can say that yes, it has been. And there has been a lot of suckfest and there's a lot of learning. So to get to your kind of question, like how much hardship is enough, I think it's like more of like a philosophy that you don't have to measure it precisely. But to me, it helps me, like when things are hard, I know that that's necessary for growth. And maybe that's the way how I use this tool the most, because if things go wrong, if things are bad, that's actually good, and that's part of the game, and that's part of what we do. Because if it only would be happiness, then we wouldn't push ourselves to the right limit. So that's maybe how I kind of conceptualize this idea to myself.
Yeah, thank you for this explanation. I agree with you that it cannot be measurable in actually numbers. If we take it from the national perspective, do we need 1 year of a bad time or do we need 5 years? And they also agree that if it's not like a breaking you, because again, it has to be balanced, and we look, for example, I don't know, Jewish nation and Israel through the centuries. So how many hate and the crimes against this nation has been committed, and they had to survive. They had to survive in a very hostile environment, and now it's one of the strongest powers, at least on the regional level, and probably very influential in the world one. Yeah, that's for sure what made them to be something like this. It has been rough times. But coming back to Estonia, we have enjoyed, and I recently read the long interview of head of our defense forces, Major General Merilo, and he told that I don't have a lot good news to bring you in a very upcoming future. And of course, if you look on our eastern neighbor, if you look on the security situation, that's obvious. But at the same time, I have to think that 10 years ago, our preparedness, our mental preparedness was actually lower. Even today, we live in a more hostile situation. Even our economical situation is worse. I think as a nation, we are stronger. It's a little bit controversial. Why? Because we have to be strong. Now, when we look on Ukraine, who are in a even worse situations than we are. I remember I've been instructor for different Ukrainian law enforcement agencies since almost 10 years by now. And what I've seen, that they became stronger in fighting corruption, in building up their state, because they realized, wait a minute, we need to do something, otherwise we are not learning our lesson. So today, Ukrainian state is definitely, and it's again controversial, but as a state of mind of this nation is definitely stronger than 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. Even they are going back through the terrible losses, and it's a huge tragedy. There is definitely somewhere a breaking point where you must not lead this nation to, but at the same time they became stronger, and when the final victory comes to their place, the lessons they learned, wow, it would be, sorry to use this word, awesome. At least it would be very effective. And in our previous podcast, we discussed this early 90s. If we wouldn't gone through them, probably the crisis of 2008, the financial crisis, would hit us mentally stronger. But we remember, 15, 16 years ago, it was even worse. So nothing to worry about. Yes, it's hard, it's unpleasant, because people actually get used to very convenient environment, as we know. If you try to take away something in a hard time, even leading a company, and you say, hey, we are going through the rough times, let's decrease or cut our expenses for 10%. That is actually more painful than not just doing those expenses. And that's, of course, it's a human feeling, and I do understand it. But if we are only growing, and just enjoying this pleasant environment. And then the first, like you said, you don't have to create hard times. They will come. They will come anyway, because in the same interview with our commander, he was actually, from a historical point, right. Yeah. Estonia, in every 25 years, has been attacked from the east. When you take last 1,000 years, more or less once in a generation, you have seen it. Now we have, knocking on the wood, we have enjoyed 33 years without it. Of course, we want to continue it. We want to avoid it in the future. But is it possible to avoid 100%? No, I think in certain hybrid thing, it's going to happen. Now the question, how much we are mentally prepared. And if I may ask, from your experience in a special forces, did you follow in your training and preparation this 1/3 rule as well?
I would say yes. I would say we even followed 90-10 rule, because it sucked all the time. So it was rather more hardship than the good times, but the good times were just the feeling. I mean, you didn't learn, because like all of our team sergeants, they were always like a counter force to our emotions. So if things went wrong, they were kind of bringing us back and showcasing that, hey, no worries, tomorrow is another try, let's do it again. If we were too successful, if we actually started repetition and we became good at whatever the skill was it shooting, was it clearing buildings, movement on a hard terrain, a reaction to the enemy contact, you get cocky. Straight away you start getting too complacent. And now, obviously, even after our first contact in Afghanistan, when I came back to our base, we were like, hey, yeah, we did whatever we did. And then the team sergeant already came back. So what are you drinking your Coca-Cola? Now go and prepare your gear. Like he already, like again, like he was all the time like counter to our feelings. So what he wanted to create and what he did very well is that he always created us hard times. Now, there is this right amount of hard time that you should be putting on your team and to your organization so that you don't break the people. And I don't know where that specific place is. You have to be like looking for that, and you have to know that. And I would say like he was very close to breaking us in general. But then he moved on to the next task, and we got the new team sergeant. So he kind of prepared us. He did his job. So as I would say, there's like this saying like strong men create good times create weak men create hard times create strong men create good times, and that's the cycle, right? And he was definitely a dude who had been gone through a lot of hardship, so he became a hard person. And now he was rather not giving slack in places he knew most likely that he's overcompensating and actually hurting the team, but he didn't want to give any inch back to complacency or to like stupid ideas that soldiers might have. So he rather was whole 100, like 90% these hard times for you dudes, because he knew that he is not able to create so hard times what the battlefield can put us through. So I would say in some cases we had more stress internally in our camp than we had outside, because that was his method. And I don't know if it's right or bad. I mean, he had been deployed for 3 or 4 times. He always brought back his dudes. He was always really good on a battlefield. But definitely he was really hard on us, and he didn't give any slack. And on some cases it was like idiotic or just stupid how strict he was on some of those things. But now I felt at that time that he kind of overdid it. But on the other hand, it's really hard to say, because I always contribute my success in that organization to that person, because he was the one who built me up. He broke me down in the beginning, and he also showed me the way of how things can be done. He was stubborn in his own ways, but a lot of success contributes to that dude who was hard hitting, really strict, really disciplined, really fucking annoying to all of us. And he definitely made us strong. And now I think the other end is that the complacency can creep in, so you can start believing your ego, and the ego is so smart that he's going to find a way how to make you weak. He will make you strong apparently to yourself in your mind, but in reality you are weaker and weaker and weaker because you get complacent, and then you get hit by the hard times again. So, and I think it's the same what Chaco is saying all the time. It is just you have to be hard enough to almost annoying to your team. And I don't know how good of a job am I doing with that. In many cases, I feel I may not be pushing the team so that they would be hard. So I may be sometimes feeling that I may be doing I'm generating, I don't know, not weak, but not as strong as what's the maximum capacity of those people. So what are your ideas about that? How much should you push people? Where is the breaking point? What makes the person strong? Because I think that with adults, if I have a driven people, then there is a possibility to, if we are thinkers, we understand those concepts, it means that we should be able to push ourselves. But are we able to really push ourselves if there is not the person who's actually pushing us into a place where we actually can't go there alone, regardless of how much we want?
First, I would like to mention that this, what you described, that you even had harder times in the base compared when you went out on the mission, that it refers to the famous military commander Alexander Suvorov, that hard during the training, easy in the battle. The more you train, the easier, the better you feel in the real environment. So that's probably one of the principles. But I like, and as I understood you like it as well, it's this indirect leading by example. So you try to present yourself as example. And when I see as you lead combat ready, so how much you actually invest your time, how much you invest your experience, your emotions, actually it's your desire, it's something you live for. It is so strong. So people who have the same mindset probably don't need anymore to push into the hard situation because they can do it. But now we are not living in the ideal world. It's not possible to have 100% of people with exactly the same attitude. You will always have a slower and faster, etc. And if you have like 2 or 3 people with you, then you can handpick them, and yes, we are more or less the same. But with more than 10, personalities come in place. But if they're grown up and we constantly keep asking, hey, wait a minute, are you satisfied with your outcome? And if person says, yes, I'm really excellent, I'm very much satisfied. Now it's a place for a good leader start to ask unpleasant questions. You say you did correct? Come on. Do you think that this achievement was also according to your highest standard? And those questions actually help person to understand, wait a minute, I did invest not 100% or not even 90, probably it was minimum viable requirement or minimum viable product. We have to avoid minimum viable people, to say so, who are doing okay, but minimum viable people, they are enough for the company or organization or team to keep on going, but not develop. MVP will never give you development. And when I think back to my career in a drug enforcement unit in late 90s, beginning of 2000, I didn't know this 1/3 rule. And it was definitely not enough leadership skills, but I loved it so much, I was ready to leave there. Doesn't matter, even the harder was the task, I enjoyed it more. And now I started to assume that everyone, it was approximately 25 people in this unit, that all of the 25 people think and have the same desire, and they really dream to work from 9 o'clock in the morning until 9 o'clock in the evening, and then of course to do half of the weekends during the month. It was assumption. So it was definitely not 1/3 of a rule that it was hard, it was more than half. And people started to burn out. And they started to blame me. And now, many years later, I actually think they were correct. Because I wanted to push them only to this 1/3 and hey, and then the big wins, big victory is coming and we can enjoy. Did I manage to create with my team a strong drug crime unit at this time? Yes, of course, compared to other many units in Estonian police at this time. But was the price correct? I don't know. I don't have this clear answer. The standard was high. To get to this unit was hard. It was kind of privilege. But when we were preparing here one exercise in January, and I had a task to look on the different historical places in Tartu, in our university city, very nice place, and how to connect our historical sites with our leadership program, with our basic rules, basic principles we are teaching. And I came to the place where we are talking about one of our legendary commanders, Lieutenant Julius Kuperjanov, in the War of Independence, 1918-1920. And he died in a battle when he personally led attacking a company, while he was a battalion commander, attacking a company against one of the manors where the communists had a headquarters. And he trained, and he actually was very hard to his own men. He really demanded a lot. It was only volunteer battalion. Everyone had to be like up to speed. Even the symbol of this unit was a skull with a motto that till the death, kuni surmani. So we are ready to do everything. So he sacrificed most. He definitely paid the highest price. Now, how many people, and we don't know, how many people did he lose because of this mental breaking? Or just physically couldn't survive in this environment in 1918, 1919? I don't know. But today, we don't talk about, at least we don't talk much about this dark side of this 1/3 rule in his place. He was always hard. Of course, it was the hardest time. Estonia was close to lose War of Independence. Red Army was 30 kilometers from Tallinn. Tartu was already occupied. Huge terror was against civilian population. It was nothing like very much optimistic to think about it. And now he had a courage to train his guys in a worst manner, and they managed to take back Tartu because of enthusiasm, because of taking a leadership, being default aggressive. But now, did he, as a successful leader, actually cross this line of 1/3? Or his own guys who were so proud of him that they even created his commemoration medal and kept the name for this battalion, which exists even up today. So we still have a Kuperjanov battalion in our southeast Estonia, in the town of Võru. I know he died very young. He was 25 only. But he definitely achieved more than most of the people will achieve in 75 years. So did he live according to these rules at 1/3, 1/3, 1/3? And so 25 years he was in this worst, but he didn't have a time now to enjoy the neutral time after the War of Independence, and not enjoy this happy time. So he just was in this 1/3 rule, probably. I don't know. Maybe it's a stupid explanation, but I was just starting to think that are those overachievers, and he was definitely overachiever in this context, are those overachievers also acting according 1/3 rules, or they are overachievers because they actually maybe they use 50, 25, 25, or I don't know, 75, 12.5, 12.5. So are they training more in this red zone, or they are intelligent enough, and it's coming of course with experience, because we need balance? Are overachievers out of balance? What is your opinion?
I think that they are out of balance. I think that they are psychopaths in a way.
In certain way, sociopaths,
Yeah.
of course, yes.
And they have a willingness to sacrifice themselves, but they don't care. For them, winning is more important than their health. It's just about pushing themselves to their limit, which is something which is beyond the limits of what is normal. And I think about the greats in sports like Michael Jordan, I don't know, Kobe Bryant, all of those kind of dudes. They were all pretty much unhuman work ethic. Doesn't matter if you have 39-degree fever, they go and play basketball just because on that day when they have that fever. It doesn't matter. That's how crazy they are. And they are willing to sacrifice a lot for winning. So on whatever the level it is, I think that they are more used to, let's say if the neutral zone would be 150 pulse wise, right? And the hard times is when you have a pulse around 200 beats per minute. And then the good times is when you have 100, 100, 150, 200. So now the amount of time the high achievers have been digging in that 1/3 suckfest, that they get more resilient, they start enjoying the 200 pulse. Because they have been so much time in there that a lot of people don't even understand what it means. Because if they start getting hurt, they come down straight away. They like that neutral zone, they like that soft zone. But I think that the highest achievers, they love destroying themselves, and they start loving that hardship more than the neutrality, because as it sucks, it continues. You're able to create the suckfest yourself. So you're able to create that hardship, and I think you can get addicted to that, and then there is a sense of accomplishment, and the good times, they really don't last, because it's just for 1 second that, hey, yes, you achieved this goal. I remember for Michael Phelps, obviously one of the greats in swimming, I think I overheard him from one podcast where he said that the year he won 9 or 11 gold medals in one Olympics, he was happy for that one day. Next day he was like, what the hell I'm going to do now? What's my next goal? And because of lack of his goals, he was not able to, that's where the depression started. That's where he kind of lost his purpose on a little bit. because he kind of achieved everything. So it's definitely not about the achievement. What they love is that suckfest for whatever reason. And those people, their threshold of 1/3. It's like when you're running a lot, your pulse gets lower and lower and lower. So like you have this endurance that your body can last for very long with very low pulse, which means that your body is running very efficiently. You have worked for it because you've trained so hard. Now, if you haven't trained enough, then your pulse goes up really fast. Now, I think that the high achievers, the people who are the CEOs, they, for whatever reason, they initially push themselves to the hardest part and they stay there for so long that they eventually get used to it. So their suckfest is other person's neutral zone eventually. So they are able to last there, and for them it's like every day. And I think that they will now struggle enjoying the neutral times. So their suckfest is not the suckfest. Their suckfest becomes the good times. If everything is going right, that's where they don't know how to operate anymore. So I think that there are like a lot of levels to all of those, to that rule, because easy thing can be a hard thing in that way for some people. So I don't know how specifically what to measure, but I think that you will get used to it. And eventually there are so many different levels between other performance and high achievers on different areas, or what is their tolerance level.
Yeah, I totally agree that it is not a case where we can say one size fits all. First, we have human beings, we're individuals, and of course what you mentioned about the great swimmer Phelps, it is a dangerous situation where you are not enjoying anymore things where you're good at. It means you are emotionally out of balance. You're physically excellent, you're physically Superman, but if you don't have any more ability to control your emotions and brain, because what else is being depressed, it means you're out of balance in this field. But it little bit reminds me of our Estonian situation. If after restoring independence in 90s, we had like two major goals, so everything was put on it. We need to be member of NATO, or at least a security environment, and we need to be member of European Union. And everyone was understood, hey, that is a 1/3 rule. If we don't achieve it in a very hard work, it will be very bad. And when we actually got the prize, like a Phelps got the prize, in 2004 we got 2 golden medals, NATO and European Union. And now I have to say, thinking back in those 20 years, Estonia somehow said, wow, now we need only a little bit fine-tuning because now we achieved. Or like Fukuyama, the great writer, said that now history is over. He wrote this book in 90s that history is over, the Cold War is over. Now it's going to be nothing significant change anymore. What we see today, 25 years later, hey, wait a minute, picture is completely different. So with this Kuperyanov example, one more thing, that one of the slogans of these Kuperyanov battalions is still used today. And the former members and current members of the battalion still use it on t-shirts. Others called it hell. For us, it was our home. Teised kutsusid seda põrguks, meile oli see koduks. Exactly. So for every normal person to think, wait a minute, they did like in 1919, in 1918, at this time with the development of equipment and stuff, can you imagine do this long distance Rekka for 40 kilometers behind the enemy line? You don't have like UAVs, you don't have anything else, but they did it successfully. So they were called Kuperyanov devils, and the Reds were really afraid of them. At the same time, when average person recruited to the Estonian army was not even close to this standard, but somehow they had this talent selection, and it was possible to take them. If all of them would train also only on this 1/3 level, I don't think that they would be able to infill in this old equipment for 40 kilometers in a winter behind the enemy lines to do something, not just go there, exfil and still be alive. By the way, in those operations, they never lost a single person. I just yesterday looked at that, and I was surprised. During long records, they never lost any fighter. You can't achieve it just by being, okay, let's train for a little bit. When you feel cold, go inside. But at the same time, you cannot break, because it would be stupidity to lose your own guys during the training. And that's a 1 billion or whatever, how many $1 billion question, where to find this physical balance and where to find this mental balance. And does it apply only for so-called special units, or it applies in our everyday work, in our everyday environment, like we teach in Combat Ready? So, because we say those principles from the battlefield, they can be useful and can be used in everyday business.
So yeah, I think that there is value in all of those things. It's just how do you utilize eventually those hardened people? How do you build, like, there's like, because there's certain different level of threshold. And like, if you hit your leg too hard against a wood, you will break your leg. Now, if you hit it with a precise amount of power, you will fracture your leg a little bit, and it will grow strong. The bone will grow stronger. Now, how painful that is, like, and what's the tolerance of each person? It's just like you have to be almost getting towards breaking point, and if you're able to recover, you will be stronger. And I think that I personally have done that in many times, like getting deeply into the roots, or like not doing really well, now almost getting to the breaking point, but now finding a way how to get over that and move forward with that experience, being stronger and stronger and stronger. And now I've been, like, if you operate on a really high level, it's just a matter of why are you doing it and what's your purpose. Because in reality, there is, like, the universe doesn't give a shit. Like, nobody cares. It's just living on this, like, rock that's going through the universe, who, like, nothing cares. So it's all in our heads what we think is useful, like, and there is just a certain amount of rules in this world. So if you treat this world as a game and you want to win in this game, and if you want to win in the game of war, there are, like, for example, in US example, there is the, like, I don't know, it's about 1 million people is the active army, I think. Yep. And now you have a Delta Force or SEAL Team 6, which in total, both of those units is like 100 operators, maybe max. Now, 100 operators from what, like 330 million, I don't know what's the ratio of people who eventually get to the army. So 1 million. Now, there is special forces, they are selected from the special forces, and they are elite of the elite of the elite. Like, they have gone through all of the people, and they are the hardest people who are there. And now, would we like to have those people come together who are just so fucking crazily strong mentally? And of course. Now, is it for everyone? Absolutely not. Is that the requirement? No. And how a lot of those people are created? Through hardship. Where does it start from? From their home. They get beaten as a child. Then they don't have a mother. Then they don't have a father. They have an asshole of a father. Then they go through some hardship on the streets of US. Then they stumble upon the army through random incident that, hey, that someone recruited me. Then they go there, then they find the system, then they find the structure, and then they start going. But what kind of prepared them in some ways or form is their childhood, which was terrible disaster. If you look at it, it's like not a normal childhood. when you're being beaten or you're living in hard conditions. But those hard conditions are preparing those people that fit a lot in those units who are on top of the world. Now, are those people balanced? I don't think so. They are way out of in extreme. But there is a place for those extremes, and there is a possibility to utilize that kind of sharpened blade or hardened steel, because in every house we don't have to use hardened steel, but in some cases it's good. Now, how do you get there? And I think a lot of people have been broken throughout that process. But now, was it their choice? Did they want to do it? Or they were just forged into that by the environment? And how much is it possible to actually create that kind of environment where, I don't know, what kind of child do you want? What do you want for a child? There has to be a certain amount of hardship. There has to be a certain amount of normal stuff. And most of the time, I would say that you can only prepare your child, and the life will take a course, and they will be part of a gang or they will be part of a bad group. There is so much influence that can take away whatever you do. So it's interesting how all of this world works. But I see that kind of idea in everything almost, like, and I don't know what is the right thing, but I know that I have gone through some part of it and I feel it enjoyable when it sucks. The more it sucks, the better. I perform the best when everything is fucked up. I can tell you that. I've been that. I love to thrive in the moments where things are not okay, because that's where I believe that I'm the most useful. But it's only in my head. It's only good for me. Or that's at least what it feels to me. Now I've been able to understand and cooperate on everyday level. But that suckfest, when it's hard, when it's terrible, I feel it even enjoyable, because I can prove that, hey, hold my beer. Like, if it seems unwinnable fight in this situation, then that's where I would love. That's where I love to be. Now, how long can you continue? When you will break, I don't know. Depends on how long you push yourself. What are your contingency plans? What is your readiness? What is your safety net? But you can keep going, and I think it will never end.
Yeah, very controversial, of course. I would like just to mention that, of course, there are other examples of people who became a part of this elite teams, not only through the bad childhood. And I think the childhood has to be not living in a dream world, of course, but it has to give the right values for the kid. And the right value is that you care about people around you. So if you are living only in this struggle, there is a high possibility that you will lose this humanity and possibility to care. And of course, we don't know how many good people we have lost because of this hardship, who didn't have a chance to become of elite team, but they unfortunately joined the gangs, or they were lost to the criminal system in the early childhood. But if the person has lived only in the dream world and never had a chance or desire or necessity actually to be in a hard times, it's bad as well. I'm reading a book about this guy, about Napoleon, and the way he treated himself with his 4 hours sleep, and he was in a pretty hard financial situation in the late 18th century in Paris, and not coming from the elite family, not a noble family. So he had to prove himself many times more than an average person coming from a, let's say, higher society. If he would have come from different background, would he achieve the same? Probably not. Was he a psychopath? For sure. I think any psychiatrist today who would analyze, examine him, would come to the conclusion, hey, wait a minute, there is a certain things are completely out of balance in his head. But we remember overachievers. Out of huge number of people living in the ancient Roman Empire, we still talk about Julius Caesar. How many other names average Estonian person can name like this? Probably not so many. If you ask about great leaders of France, again, most of people, oh, Napoleon, or any other kings or scientists, or there are tons of people who have won Olympic medals. Or basketball players, very good basketball players in the United States. And still have, okay, Michael Jordan, yeah, some others. But there are only few names who are coming in our heads because they are overachievers. So does it mean that we create the cult of a person? We've been together with you in a seminar with the cadets of our military academy some days ago, and during this trainings we had to support there, we listened to the lecture, and it was about the leadership styles of different people. And one of the things they mentioned, it was a cult of a leader. So, oh, he or she is so great. So if we admire those overachievers, isn't there is a threat that at certain point we lose ability to evaluate them in a proper manner? So we see them in not adequate way anymore. We see only this great success and great achievements, but not the dark side of the person. Isn't it a little bit dangerous that we start to worship overachievers as a gods?
Yeah, I think for sure. And I think you always have to understand that behind every success there is that suckfest. Behind every success are mistakes. The cost of victory is always huge. And I think like if you look at the Michael Jordan, like he has done a lot of mistakes. It's just that those things are maybe not talked so much, and we don't even know about those things. But here in person, like if you look at the Last Dance series, I mean I don't think there are like a lot of those times where it feels like he's not happy with some of the things, like how things were, but he doesn't really moan on the mistakes he made. This is what it is. You can't change it anymore. You move on. You just try to do better next time. But I think it is dangerous if you're blindsided and you are not able to critically think that it's all butterflies. It's not butterflies. And that's why it's a dichotomy. That's why there is a balance. And the only one who actually knows is you. Nobody else knows, I think. Because, if it, you know where it sucks. You know what makes you happy. You know what neutral means. And it's you who are able to turn the temperature or the volume, or so to say. And you can reduce it, you can up it. But it is dangerous if you start believing things blindly. If you only think that suckfest is the thing that makes you forward, that's not good. If you think it's only happiness, it's not good. It's about finding the right balance. And it takes practice and failure and success and failure and success. So it's a never-ending thing where you never get ready it's just a constant adaptation, like nature. And I think that those examples, like, I don't know, following Hitler, following Stalin, I guess those could be the examples where things hasn't been very good if you follow, and it's a cultish type of thing. And what Hitler did, he utilized the suckfest, and he utilized and promised the good stuff, and people were willing to go even into a bigger suckfest with a risk of winning 1 day worth of freedom. So is 1 day worth of freedom worth 100 days of imprisonment? I don't know. If so, how much suckfest is comparable? Like, because like in Mel Gibson's movie as well, he just pretty much, he lost his freedom because he died, but he gave another freedom to others. So one person suckfested for everyone else. He took everything on him, but he gave an opportunity to the next generation. So it is fucked up thing. There's no right way of thinking about it. There's so many deep levels, there is so many dynamics where you are able to get into this philosophical banter, so to say. Like, yeah, what's more worth, like 100 days of suckfest? Is it worth for 1 day of freedom? Or no? Is it worth giving away your freedom so that other people can be free?
Yes, in this sense, if you have taken a position where you are a formal or non-formal leader, so you voluntarily took this position because nobody can actually make you a leader. It's not possible. It's anyway, it's your decision. Are you follow the flow? Are you were educated for this? Did you work to get the position? But at certain point, you decided to become it, or you worked to become it. Now, when you are at this position where because of your decisions, you can influence faith of other people. In this case, I should say yes. The team is more important. Team mission first, team second, you third. Coming back to this example from this Scottish War of Independence, which Mel Gibson described in his depicted in his movie. And as we know in our history, we have also several people who sacrifice themselves in one form or another. Every nation has. But you have a close relatives and loved ones around you. So, of course, the higher idea, the higher values, but you cannot forget that your family also needs you. Your kids needs you, your wife or your husband needs you. So, sacrificing yourself at certain point, especially when we talk about the cult of personality, can become very selfish thing. Oh, I want to make my place in history so great, that's why I'm doing it. Intention smells, like you have mentioned several times, and like we teach it during our trainings. So if you are doing this sacrifice because you really believe in it, I think that's excellent. Then you are truly good leader, then you are truly following this leadership model as a role model. But if you are doing it only because you love to hear your name as a great leader, then I think you're out of balance, because your motivation can actually put you into danger. Not only you, but also people around you, because you're not sincere anymore. The driving factor is not the success for the team or mission or idea. The driving factor is only you. The good sense of ego is very well. I'm more than sure that Michael Phelps wouldn't achieve his golden medals without ego. But again, where is this balance? I have never I've never been privileged to talk with Michael Phelps, and I would really love to do it, and ask, hey, sir, what was your motivation to go every day and train approximately 5 hours? I don't know.
Or 8.
Or whatever number of hours. Significant amount of hours he has spent in a swimming pool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he must love swimming.
Must love swimming. Must love sometimes.
I hope.
I hope. When we look on our instructors who are member of our teams, I think that they love, which is a good thing, they love to be instructors. They love to talk about those principles. They love to bring those examples. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing it. Now the question is, where is this balance and line? How much they love to be in a non-comfort zone, uncomfortable zone, to get to the next level. Because to enjoy yourself in front of class or auditorium, excellent feeling. But now, are you enjoying more this feeling, or you enjoying the growth, the professional growth? Or in the best way, are you enjoying that you have a mission, that you have a possibility to spread this knowledge and turn the culture of leadership better, which actually benefits most of people, at least in Estonia, because the healthier is the environment, the climate, the healthier is actually people around you. Because all of us, our mothers, our fathers, our sisters, brothers, they are working somewhere. So everyone is under the influence of leader. And if you as a leadership instructor can give better environment, you actually help your closed ones. Not only this audience who is paying for the course, but how much,
right.
And now I think how much I did spend my time as a COO to spread this understanding. Not much. So it means I was stuck in the comfort zone, doing many things which I think I'm good at, which are easy for me, but not pushing myself, hey Eerik, now you have to go and start ask again those unpleasant, hard questions and help people to go to the next level.
Yeah, and I think it's hard to find out that balance in other people, especially if you're just part of the beginning, if you don't know specifically what are the requirements of a really great instructor in this environment. We don't really know specifically as well because we are just learning the environment. We know pretty well what does it take to be an instructor in military, and now what's the difference between, I don't know, really good instructor in the military and average and bad one. I've seen them all. I've been in school with them together. I've seen what's the difference. And usually the difference is repetition and also like fit to that position, because some people are just not fit for military. They didn't want to be there. They somehow randomly ended up there, and now they end up in this course which they shouldn't be part of because they were not qualified, but now they are here and they just go through it, and they are not really good because they don't like it. They don't know why they're here. They don't understand. They're not driven. They're not bought into this. But the good ones, they love it. But the way how, like it may feel seamless how they get there, but in reality there is always this hard work behind, which you don't see, which you never see. And that's why it's so easy and admirable to look at the Michael Jordans, to look at those dudes and see their goals. And it seems that this goal and the end or the success is so sweet. But in reality, like 99% of the time, they are just grinding in a neutral or a suckfest zone.
Eerik Heldna, one of the greatest Olympic champions of Estonia. She won golden medal in Seoul '88, in Barcelona 1992, the first golden medal of Estonia after regaining independence. Bicycle rider, cyclist, and she was coming, and I think that actually supports your theory. In a Soviet time, she was an orphan, so she was living in an orphanage house or orphanage home, which is in Soviet time was definitely hell with all the social security system behind. And the only possibility to escape was to do something excellent. And by accident, it was possible to start cycling. The amount of hours this poor girl, coming from like a zero of support from family, because the family did not exist, but she loved it so much, so she achieved everything what one athlete can achieve. 2 golden medals from Olympics, so nothing can beat it. Did she train in a comfort zone? No. What we remember as a student nation, we remember those 2 famous golden medals. It's 10 minutes. Wow. We remember how she got back from Olympic Games and was greeted by huge crowd at the town hall square in Tallinn. So we remember this maybe, I don't know, altogether hour. But for her, she definitely enjoyed this hour. But how many hours she invested to have this one? I don't know. It's not even ratio 1% to 100%. It was definitely, I don't know, 0.000 something. So she invested thousands of hours to enjoy this one moment. And she told in an interview that it was worth it. So 1 day versus 100 days, it depends what kind of victory you want to see. So why we are doing it and how the victory looks like. If you can describe in your head that is my victory, that is everything I need, that is everything I'm ready to invest. In this case, I think it is possible to find a balance. If you cannot understand why you are doing it, then in my experience, it doesn't matter how many hours you put there, because if you don't if you don't like what you do, if I'm not fan of playing violin or piano, and you will tell me, okay, Eerik, I will buy you a great piano, and you have a 1 year, you can prepare yourself, and I will not find this motivation, the outcome would be terrible. It would be awful. Nobody would like to hear it, because I would use every excuse not to invest my time. And even if I, by discipline, investing it, if you do something without love and desire, we all know the outcome is zero. Doesn't matter, by the way, the salary. We have seen many people in a business world getting a very good salaries and hating the job as much as possible. And how successful they have been after 1 year, 2 years? Not very. We all know that, okay, you have to have a decent salary to provide a person like a decent living, but at certain amount, this amount of money will not replace the attitude anymore. Because it will work only, the raising of salary will work after certain level, will work only for 6 months. After that, you get used to it. And if the person today getting, I don't know, 3,000 euros and you will raise it to 4,000, excellent. But go and ask this person after 1 year, are you satisfied with your 4,000? No. And he or she has already forgot about the previous period where he or she actually got 1,000 less. So it's also the question of balance. The investment and outcome and the understanding the why, and altogether it's your love. It's very well how you said that some random people happen to be in the military and actually is a place where they don't enjoy. I've seen some cadets as well, when you ask, okay, why you want to become an officer? And to be honest, some of them, after not maybe the first moment, the school is paid, you have a tuition, you have a place to stay, you have a guaranteed work, and now you do this minimum requirement. Okay, I go to the lessons, I follow the procedures, I'm quite of a discipline. But I don't see this spark in your eyes. You need to have this spark. If you can't describe why I'm here with a passion, I don't see much possibilities for success.
Well, it just depends on how do you measure success. Like,
Would
Eerik Salome be only successful? Would she be successful also when she didn't win those medals? Like, then
Of
we
course.
just wouldn't know. And I would say that most likely for her, she would still be considering it the effort worth that she gave everything that she had, even though, I don't know, she became second or fourth or fifth. It's just a matter like most of the people will never become the world champions. Most of the people will not be Olympians. So the optimal way for like most of the people should be trying to figure out how to enjoy this journey, because you will never win. It's impossible almost. It's like against all odds. So now, is it worth to sacrifice life for that one day of freedom? It seems so, because nobody knows what it feels like until they feel it, and it seems that it's. I would assume it feels that it feels that it's sweeter than it really is. It's
But
actually nothing. It's actually nothing. It's just the same minute and hour, and it's just a little bit of emotion than the other day when you were at home crying or being happy. It's just that now you have a memory that you make it yourself in your head worth the effort.
As a social creatures, we are emotional. We all know that. Emotions are good. The question is how much we are not controlling them. Again, you cannot control emotions 100%, otherwise they're not emotions. But you have several times mentioned the thing I really appreciate that you have taken it so visible and very well understood. It's alignment. And I think what you just described, it's a part of this alignment. 99.999% of people never become Olympic champions and not even close to Eerik Salome. I agree. But they are very happy because the effort and outcome is aligned. They believed in it. They love the way they do it. And they say, hey, that's very well for me because I understand that's my limits. I understand that is my desire. I understand what I want to do. So the clear vision and understanding. Now, the problem would start where my input and my desire are completely out of balance. If I want to be Eerik Salome, but or Michael Phelps, and I go only 2 times or 3 times per week, I go to the swimming pool. Now, how likely I become Michael Phelps? Not likely at all. And now when I will be disappointed next New Year's Eve, hey, why I'm still not invited to the national swimming team? No, because your desire and your effort is not in line. So how much you think we as combat ready instructors can actually help people by using this 1/3 example of a time balance, and also other examples to get people aligned? Because I think more and more that the biggest value of our courses, beside that you are responsible, it's actually that you are responsible to be aligned. That is extreme ownership. Your extreme ownership is to be aligned, because if you are not aligned, everything else will fall apart. Your relations will fall apart. You will not be default aggressive because you're not aligned. You don't know where to be default aggressive. You cannot prioritize, because how can you prioritize your actions if you are not aligned that your actions and outcomes are in balance? If you don't understand the why, what kind of alignment we are talking about. So isn't alignment is a key word for our 4 laws of combat and for our victory mindset, at least the winner's mindset.
I think, give me a second. I think it's all about alignment. That's why I love that video as well, which it's a happiness alignment kind of video, which is like whatever your goal is, it has to equal the effort, and when you're aligned, you're happy. So, but it's so difficult to find the alignment, because you can sit here whole day and think about it, but you will never understand is that correct or not, because that is just your thought. The only way how to figure it out is to take action, and then organize yourself a feedback loop, and then recognize what you actually do, because you could have a million ideas, but if you never take a step forward, you will never see if any of those ideas really were great, because great idea eventually is great only when it's applied and it actually becomes real. So I think it's all about alignment, and it's super difficult, and you shouldn't be expecting to find it, because if you don't find alignment, are you then sad? Because I never find alignment. It should be worthwhile taking action. You should be enjoying trying to figure out how to find alignment, rather than the end where the alignment is. You should be enjoying the journey, what everyone is talking about. Enjoy the freaking journey. Try to figure out how to live today rather than tomorrow, because tomorrow may never come. And I think that in terms of sports or achievements and goals, I think it's easier than now think about, I don't know, how to be a good father. Because you can do, like in poker, what I liked about poker and I hated about it is that you can play the correct game. You can do everything right, but there is always a chance of luck. Now, if you play 1 million hands, the luck will kind of dissolve, because if you play a A game and you are playing really good, the other player is really bad at the game, then eventually you will win. But you can play a lot of situations the way it's supposed to be played, and the odds are not against you and odds are behind you. Like 99% of times you should be winning. But there is the 1% that you may lose. And you should be able to enjoy regardless are you losing or winning, because it doesn't really matter if you win or lose eventually. That's not what will make you happy. And that's why it's so difficult, because you can do all the right things and still lose. You can do all the wrong things and win. But it was just very small odds. Same way that you could putting everything on red or one number, but it's, I don't know, 1 to 36 or 32 or whatever the odds are. Now, if you put a lot of money and you win, like that's just where your odds and you were just lucky. Now, if you do it 100 times, you will lose your money. But some people are lucky. But now, if you have to choose, you should be always choosing the methods that provide you the highest predictability of success. But the success is also not the answer, because even if you're successful, you have to take another step. Because the end is when you die, then you don't have to do any steps. Until then, you still have to set goals. Because otherwise, what else will doing? You will eventually still get miserable. So how do you find a way how to enjoy this day, regardless of what it is the $1 million question.
And even if it's $1 million question, it's still a little bit question, or a certain amount is a question of alignment. Even my day is miserable today, for example. And if I have to find a way how to enjoy it, I start to think, okay, in general, I'm aligned how I come at home, how I talk to my kids, how, even if sometimes it's time consuming and nervous and whatever, but I'm aligned, I'm happy I have them. I'm happy I have this environment. I'm happy that I have the people around me, even if the day was very, very bad. Now, if I want to continue enjoying this environment, there are certain steps I need to do, and if I'm not taking them, I will lose the possibility, and then I'm not aligned at all. I can, I don't know, be divorced, sit at home alone, and even if the particular day has been successful and nice, it's not making me happy in a long term because my life is not anymore aligned with my desires, principles, goals, whatever. So how to describe it 100% clearly and understood to everyone? Oof, I don't know. I have to work on it. I have to exercise. I have to practice. But I agree that you need to set up goals, even small steps, because otherwise, if you don't set like a tactical milestones, how can you climb the highest mountain if you don't think, okay, how I go first 100 meters? Or as a marathons, I've run many of them. Many people say that the hardest distance is starting from the 37 kilometers, this last 5 kilometers. I do agree from the physical point. Of course, you are tired, etc. But the hardest distance is actually this first 100 meters, which you need to go out of the door, put your training suits on and start to exercise. That is the hardest part because you need to get used to it. So the start is always the hardest. But if it's aligned with your effort, is it aligned with your outcome? Like this, it's not a professional development, it's a personal development. Oh, okay, I trained enough, I passed it, I managed. I became a little bit healthier. I proved to myself that, hey, I still can do it if I train hard. So it's a small win, it's definitely not Olympic victory, but it's a victory for yourself. You proved, hey, I'm ready to be disciplined worker, which helps me maybe this small thing in a not professional but personal sport. This achievement, this attitude helps me in my professional development. But if those things are balanced, if they are aligned, I think that's again coming back that I'm happy. It brings me back to this 1/3 rule. I can enjoy this 1/3 of my time being happy because I work in an aligned way to achieve this 33% of my time being happy.
I think it's about I think the 1/3 rule, it just helps me to get over the suckfest where it just makes it easily tolerable, because I mean, now I'm able to explain myself why I'm suffering and why it sucks so bad at the moment. And then also that it's normal. Everyone is facing it everywhere, all the time. It happens. It also happens where you are not growing, but you are the opposite of growth. What is it? I don't know.
Diminishing.
Diminishing.
Not this going down the hill.
Yeah. Because it's the same logic. Yeah, decreasing. It sucks. If you doesn't matter which way you go, it's the same principle. It sucks and you get weaker. It's just maybe hurting you from different thing. But I just talked with my grandmother today, and she said that it doesn't matter like what is your goal, if you want to have a boy or a girl. The main thing is as long as the person is healthy.
That we like to say in Estonia, yes.
Like, doesn't matter if it's a boy or girl, as long as it's healthy, that's what is like blessing. And now, it's all about the attitude. If things go wrong, I love what Jaakko has come up with. It's the good video, which has like, I don't know, 7 or 10 million or 30 million views. It's like this, about this attitude. Like, positive reinforcement. If things go bad, there's always something good. And now, how can you, like, and the best example he's providing is like, what can be good when your child has a cancer? What can be good about that? Absolutely nothing good about that. But now, if you start being miserable and you show your kid who has this disease, you show that, hey, you are now weak and now you are kind of being a victim of this situation, does that really support that child now? Like, it almost like, hey, I am in such a terrible situation because I have this child who has this disease. But think about the child. They are in a fucking way worse situation. Now you should be like manning up or being there to support and being good at the moment. She or he is not dead. At the moment, we have still options. We are able to figure out maybe there is a cure. Maybe we can extend this life to 1 year, because 1 year is better than nothing. So trying to find those positive things kind of gives you a meaning or gives you a way how to move forward, even in situation when there is no way to go. Like, you go out still as a winner in life, and the only one like who knows it is you, and nobody cares. The universe doesn't really care about anything, so it's all in our heads. How do you make this bad situation into good? So it doesn't really matter if it sucks, if it doesn't suck, if it's good or if it's bad. The good way of thinking of it is that you should find something good out of it and make a next step. And whatever you believe, that's how you should be acting, regardless of what happens. So, because life will, there are certain things that you can control where you can apply the 1/3 rule. And sometimes the life just gives you a suck fest. It gives you a shitty card, and that's what you have. And now what do? You play the card you have and you make the most out of it and try enjoy that and make that somehow work for whatever reason. It's all random.
Yeah, sometimes life can be very unjust, and one of the U.S. Navy members, Admiral McRaven, in his very good speech about if you want to change the world, start by making up your bed. And he have served in the Navy SEALs, and this speech was addressed for the Texas University in Austin during the graduation ceremony, and it was really inspiring because he also described that sometimes you have to accept life is unjust sometimes. If you can't accept it, you will ruin your mental health. Sometimes you have to say, okay, it happened, what can I do now? Not start to blame life, because like you said, universe actually doesn't listen. Yeah, unjust, very bad. So what? So what's now? And I really suggest for people who are struggling with this feeling, and myself, I also sometimes felt that, wait a minute, why it happened to me? So what did I do wrong? Technically nothing. Where is my guilt? No, technically no, but it still happened. And now, if I cannot accept that it happened, if I start to break apart, it will go even worse. So, yeah, I really suggest for people who are asking themselves those questions, just to go to YouTube and look for Admiral McRaven. And I think that Estonian history has been a very good example of this. Yes, it happened. It happened in 13th century that we probably made certain not very clever mistakes. We were not developed enough. So more developed nations, crusaders came and said, hey, now it's a fait accompli, like they say in French. It's a fact which are here, boom, you can argue about it. Now, next many big wars almost actually took us away from the world map. After the Great Nordic War in 18th century, maybe 10% of today's Estonian population was left. And we still managed not to whine about it. Okay, it happened. Very bad. What we can do now? And now, step by step, we came here to where we are. We can blame Soviet time and Nazi time and bad economy and whatever. But if we just can't accept, okay, it happened to us. for whatever reasons, really very unjust. But let's move forward. And if it's aligned, again, if it's aligned with our effort, we can be very happy. If we all time want to be bigger, but we can't accept that, hey, wait a minute, there is never will be like a 300 million Estonians, and the only thing we think we want to be like number 5 nation in the world, it's definitely not aligned, because the possibilities are not aligned with a desirable outcome. If we think, okay, is it really necessary for our happiness? No, we can be happy enjoying many other aspects of our life. Wow, it's not so bad at all. So it's again, it's here in the head. Does the universe care about how many Estonians there are? No. Do we care? Yes. So it means we have to look to the mirror and say, hey guys, what is the key to our happiness? If the key is only how many of us, bad luck. If the key is how we enjoying our life, what are our values, and how much we are ready to invest to keep those values existing, that's the thing we actually can influence in realistic world.
Yeah, I think that people should just live a good life based on the values that you feel are worth living by. That's it.
Exactly. And if you find something,
Yeah.
If you find the value where you say, hey, the value is so important for me that I'm ready to sacrifice even my life, then you're a happy person, because you have something where you say, hey, that's number 1 for me. It's even more important than physical me. If you don't have these things, then you are probably struggling to understand the bigger why. But there has to be, is it your family? Is it your nation? Is it your values? Is it something? But if you have something higher why for yourself, then you are probably a very, very happy person, because you have a meaning.
I think so. Yeah, you have to provide meaning yourself, and that's the only way. Because in the end, it doesn't matter. Nobody cares. So how would you conclude this topic for today? So what would be your main conclusions from our discussions today?
Today is the 23rd of December. So the main conclusion would actually be the alignment. So you and the time and the values. And for me, it's important to be a better father, better person. So in a short term, the conclusion would be to use now this 1/3 of happy time, but really use it in a quality way, to care and to show this care to a beloved ones. And then after this holiday season, I need definitely this period of stability for 1/3, and beginning of January provides a lot of hard effort, because we have a lot of stuff to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so it kept going. So enjoy Christmas, enjoy your family, be aligned with your desires. Do not wish too much from Santa Claus. Wish what is realistic, and give and take policy, be in balance.
So I wrote down that everything is a dichotomy again, obviously. You should thrive towards balance, but know that you will never achieve the state of balance. But the journey towards thriving or moving towards the balance should be the goal. It's not the balance, because you will never achieve it. So don't fool yourself. Just try your best, and you should be good. And don't overthink it. So that's what I would do. I would try to do. Try not to overthink it.
Be simple.
Yeah, because you will always have another day to try, and if you don't, it doesn't matter. Nobody cares.
But we care. We care about our audience who is listening, and we care.
Absolutely.
And Merry Christmas to everyone.
Merry Christmas to everyone. And if the Christmas is over, and if you want really good quality leadership training, combatready.ee or europe.combatready.ee is where you can find things. Our partners in US, Session on Front, you can find us. So if you want to have these good quality conversations about whatever we talk about, because we talk about whatever, then give us a thumbs up and we will continue. We will continue anyways, because it's not about the destination, it's about what we do right here. If you enjoy it, then that's the right thing. So hope you enjoyed it. Have a nice holidays and take care.
Bye. No niin.